Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about 3 great holidays coming up this week.
I love a holiday.
We're going to start a new segment called Not Cheese.
We are?
We're going to ask the age-old question, is Gruyere really Gruyere if it isn't from Gruyere?
What?
And of course, we're going to tell you a very cheesy joke. Stay tuned for episode number 10 of Just Cheesy, the podcast. So cheesy, we have 3 major holidays this week, 2 cheese and 1 not cheese.
Okay, let's hear them.
First we have on the 17th of January, we have Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yep, I knew that one.
Then we have World Quark Day on January 19th.
Quark.
And finally, on January 20th, we have National Cheese Lovers Day.
Woo woo, I'm a cheese lover.
Me too, cheesy. So first I looked to see what the favorite food was of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Was it cheese?
There are some accounts that talk about him liking mac and cheese, but that was not his favorite food.
Aww.
In an article called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Favorite Food in a Nutshell, it comes from theculinaryseller.com. They said that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite food was pecan pie.
Pie.
Apparently, Dr. King loved pecan pie more than any other dessert, although he did like peach cobbler, but mostly made by his own mother.
Yum and yum.
The Culinary Seller goes on to say that pecans have their origin in prehistory, with their fossils being found in Texas and nearby areas.
Wow.
They also say the Native Americans named them pecane, meaning a nut to be cracked with a rock. So the tradition holds that the French invented pecan pie after settling in New Orleans, and the recipes had not been found earlier than 1925.
Wow.
So 2 of the most popular cookbooks, Fanny Farmer
Fanny Farmer.
and The Joy of Cooking, did not even include pecan pie before 1940. So it looks like pecan pie is pretty new and an all-American dish.
Thanks, Dr. King, for having such great taste.
I second that, cheesy. So January 19th is World Quark Day.
What's a quark?
Well, the quark we're referring to today is not the one that is an elementary particle or a fundamental constituent of matter. Not that quark.
Then what is it?
According to nationaltoday.com, a quark or quarg translates to curd cheese. Some places in Europe don't even consider it a cheese.
Aww.
Wikipedia describes it as a dairy product made by warming soured milk until the desired amount of curdling is achieved and then straining it.
Ew.
The holiday was first invented in 2019 by a lady who is referred to as the Queen of Quark.
Queen.
And this was to spread the information about quark to the world. It's rare in America. There's only 3 states where it's produced, which are Vermont, Illinois, and California. They liken it to yogurt and cottage cheese.
Yummy.
It's lactose-free, it's sugar-free, it's low-carb, high in protein, and also high in calcium. Sounds like a great snack.
Yay, quark.
And finally, January 20th is National Cheese Lovers Day.
Ooh.
DaysOfTheYear.com suggests that National Cheese Lovers Day is a day dedicated to all different types of cheese in the world. So make sure to take this opportunity to taste new cheese, learn how to make your own, or even discover new recipes that make use of cheese.
Yay, cheese.
Cheese, not a sponsor, but if they were, their ad would go right here. Just Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions. In honor of National Cheese Lovers Day, we urge you to take a picture of your favorite cheese creation and use the hashtag JustCheesy on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you use social media. Now back to the podcast. Here comes my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
In the New York Times this week, there was an article that said, is Gruyere still Gruyere if it doesn't come from Gruyere?
What's that mean?
Like champagne is made in the Champagne region of France, and maybe you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
According to the Swiss guidelines, Gruyere must be made in the region around Gruyere, Switzerland, which has produced cheese since the 12th century.
Wow.
In the United States, Gruyere can be made anywhere according to a new federal court ruling. The ruling basically states that Gruyere may once have been under understood to indicate an area of cheese production, but now it's become generic to people who buy cheese in the U.S.
Okay.
But Philippe Bardet, who represents the Gruyere producers of Switzerland, says with this decision, you can make a little cheese, a big cheese, a hard cheese, a processed cheese, and you can give the name Gruyere for all types of cheese. And they seem pretty upset because they can't prevent any European countries other than Switzerland from selling the cheese.
Oh, no.
From 2010 to 2020, the U.S. imported more cheese called Gruyere from the Netherlands and Germany than from Switzerland and France. So if you're a fan of Gruyere, just make sure to look at the label and see where it was produced.
Who knew?
So, Cheesy, I'd like to start a new segment called Not Cheese.
Go for it, Fondue.
So, like Gruyere, Parmesan cheese has a little bit of a history as well. According to Parmesan.com, Parmesan means from Parma. According to GollarFoods.com, in England, if you get Parmesan, you know you're getting Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the law. In American translation, also Parmesan, but when you buy it here, you could be getting almost anything except usually Parmigiano Reggiano.
Holy cow.
From a book called The World of Cheese, the most likely cheese that would be in your shaker called Parmesan is Americana Grana. This is a Parmesan-style cheese made using raw milk gathered from local farms.
So it is cheese.
Wait for it. A few years ago, a class action lawsuit was taken against Parmesan cheese manufacturers claiming deception in advertising because they advertised 100% grated Parmesan cheese, but they include what people are calling wood pulp.
What now?
According to an article in the Chicago Tribune, Kraft Heinz cheese was labeled as 100% grated Parmesan, but it was found to be 3.8% cellulose. The lawsuit was abandoned a few years ago, but was picked back up on December 7th of last year. The suit accuses manufacturers and grocers of false advertising when they said 100% grated Parmesan cheese.
Right.
According to AbbyTheFoodScientist.com, the key word here is grated.
Really?
If a product says 100% cheese, it contains only cheese. But if you throw in the word grated, it has a whole new definition.
Holy cow.
The Code of Federal Regulations actually says that grated cheese can have any of the following optional ingredients. Optional ingredients such as antimycotics, anti-caking agents, spices, and flavorings. According to this website, it says the claim of 100% grated cheese is correct even if anti-caking agent like cellulose is used, but most people would think this is pretty misleading.
Yeah, you think?
In the earlier lawsuit, the judge dismissed the lawsuit because it said that the consumer could simply turn the container around and see that cellulose is an ingredient on the statement.
Holy cow.
Abby, the food scientist, goes on to explain cellulose.
Wood pulp?
Well, cellulose is in sawdust and wood pulp since trees are technically plants, and cellulose is in every fruit, vegetable, and plant that you eat. But like she says, it's not like someone's chopping up logs and throwing them into your cheese.
That's how you break a tooth.
The FDA lists cellulose as a type of dietary fiber. So technically, shaker Parmesan cheese is cheese. It just has a little bit of something extra.
I think I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
This one seems fitting given our topic. Why are Republicans asking people to stop buying Parmesan in a shaker?
I don't know.
Because they want to make America great again. Get it? Great. G-R-A-T-E, great.
That's ridiculous.
No, but it's definitely a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, episode number 10. Join us next week for episode number 11.
Stay cheesy, everybody.